Joining us now to discuss is Dr. Frank Contessessa. He's an internist with Northwell Health. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Frank. So let's start with this. The CDC changing the guidelines from a 10-day quarantine to 5-day quarantine. What's that all about? Is that enough to prevent, I should say, contagion?
Well, I don't think it's going to do very much to prevent the spread. We're seeing an avalanche of cases. As of CDC this morning, cases are up about 65%. But there's a bright spot here because hospitalizations are only up about 9%. So they're not keeping pace with the increase in cases. And here's a really good piece of information. Deaths are down about 10%. This is over last week. So cases have skyrocketed, hospitalizations have not, and deaths are actually down. As for the new guidelines, I don't have a huge problem with it. You know, the highest rate of transmissibility is usually in the first few days. I like the fact of getting people back into society. Now, the caveat that we have to remember is that if people are asymptomatic, so if you're feeling better and you haven't had a fever for about 24 hours, then it's okay to kind of get back into society and make sure you wear a mask for another 5 days. So I don't have a huge deal with that. That's okay for me.
All right, so that's interesting. You know, I read something recently that we got to be careful we don't over-vaccinate as well, because the new Omicron may be the natural immunity provider to end the virus. But let's talk a little bit about the holidays, right? What should people do to be safe during this holiday surge?
I would suggest that people consider this the same way we do during flu season. So if you're high risk, you know, if you getting sick is going to put you at a higher risk, then you be careful. Then you take extra precautions. And here's another thing. If you are sick, stay away from other people. You know, it's the same thing if you have a cold. You know, if you have a cold and you're going to go around, you know, Aunt Josephine, don't do it. Just kind of protect other people. So as far as staying safe, really pretend this is a cold and flu season and it's not the panic of this COVID. You mentioned a minute ago about being sort of a natural immunity. If you had to design a natural booster, it would be something like Omicron, something that is enormously transmissible, but causes very little serious illness and will confer lasting immunity. So this is kind of the beginning of the end for us. At least I think so, and I hope so.
All right, you know, I'm very thrilled that you just said that, because you know, we've been ignoring natural immunity, and in Omicron, as you point out, highly transmissible with a low death rate, low morbidity, is what we want. What we want, so that more Americans, more people around the world have natural immunity to whatever variant comes next after Omicron. Not sure what Greek letter comes next. Dr. Frank, always great having you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Eric. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and always, everyone. Let's thank Dr. Frank and every other first responder for one hell of a couple of years being on the front line of fighting this miserable disease that came from China. All right, thank you.